Virgo, don't, just don't, not yet, because there's something you need to hear before you make that move, before you send that message, before you convince yourself that what you're feeling is one-sided, before you talk yourself out of something that your whole nervous system is screaming is real. Stop and listen, because I want to start somewhere unusual today. I want to start with the war, not a war between people, the war inside you, the one that's been running quietly and exhaustingly, probably for longer than you want to admit, on one side. Everything you feel, the pull, the warmth, the way your mind returns to this person without being invited to, the way certain songs suddenly have a different weight, the way you catch yourself mid thought, mid sentence, mid breath, and they're there, just there on the other side. Every reason you've constructed for why you shouldn't trust it, the logic, the timing, the past, the fear of being wrong, the memory of what it felt like to want something this much and have it not work out. And between those two sides, you, exhausted from moderating a conflict that doesn't have a clean resolution, tired of not knowing which voice to listen to. Does that feel like an accurate description of where you've been living lately? Drop a comment if that internal war is something you recognize. Because here's what I want to name first. The fact that you're in that war at all is information, not weakness, not confusion, not evidence that you're making something up. Information. Because people don't fight that hard against feelings that aren't real. The mind doesn't build elaborate defenses against things that don't actually have power. You don't construct entire logical frameworks to talk yourself out of something that isn't genuinely pulling at you. The intensity of the resistance is proportional to the intensity of what's underneath it. And what's underneath it is significant, more significant than the part of you that keeps trying to minimize it, is willing to admit, can you feel the truth in that? Let me know in the comments if you've been using logic to fight something that logic was never designed to resolve. Now, I want to talk about them. Not in a way that makes promises, not in a way that tells you what they're definitely feeling or guarantees any particular outcome, but in the way that honest observation allows. There is a specific energetic signature that exists between two people when the feeling is genuinely mutual. It has a texture, a quality, and that quality is distinct from the feeling of wanting something that isn't reciprocated. One-sided longing has a particular weight to it, a heaviness that pulls downward, an asymmetry that you can feel in your body even when your mind is trying to convince you otherwise. It feels like reaching, like extending yourself towards something that isn't quite extending back, but what you're carrying right now doesn't feel like that, does it? It feels more like two currents moving toward each other, two frequencies that keep finding each other despite the distance or the silence or the circumstances standing between them, like something that has its own gravity, that pulls without either person fully choosing to be pulled. Have you felt that specific quality in this? The sense that it isn't just you reaching? Tell me in the comments, because I want to get precise about something. The title of this reading says, "Don't do it." And I want to unpack what that actually means, because it's not what you might think. It's not telling you to walk away. It's not telling you to suppress what you feel. It's not a warning about this person or this connection. It's a warning about a very specific move that people make when they're standing at exactly the threshold you're standing at right now. The move of self-sabotage. The move that looks from the outside like caution or wisdom or protecting yourself, but is actually just fear wearing the costume of logic. The move where you convince yourself that what you feel isn't real enough, that you're projecting, that you're romanticizing, that the sensible thing, the mature thing, the self-protective thing is to close the door before it's even fully opened. That's the thing the title is warning you against. Not the connection, the closing. Don't close. This. Not yet. Not without giving it the honest space it deserves. Does that reframe land differently than you expected? Drop a comment if you felt that shift. Let me talk about something that almost never gets addressed in this kind of content. The loneliness of having a feeling this size and nowhere to put it. Because when something this significant is moving through you, and you can't talk about it openly with the person it's about, and you can't fully explain it to the people around you without it sounding like too much, and you can't even fully explain it to yourself without the logical part of your mind stepping in to cross-examine everything, and you end up carrying it alone in this very specific kind of internal solitude where you're surrounded by people and conversations and the ordinary texture of your daily life, but underneath all of it, running like a current you can't turn off, is this feeling, this person, this question that doesn't have an answer yet, and the carrying of it. The aloneness of carrying it is its own kind of weight, separate from the feeling itself. I want you to know that I see that, not just the feeling, the weight of carrying the feeling, and the specific courage it takes to keep showing up in your regular life while something this significant is quietly running underneath it. That takes more strength than most people realize. Have you been feeling that specific loneliness? The one that exists even when you're not alone? Let me know in the comments. Now I want to offer you something, a different frame for what you're experiencing, because most of the narratives we have about this kind of feeling position it as a problem to be solved. Will it work out or won't it? Should I pursue it or shouldn't I? Is it real or am I imagining it? And those questions create a kind of anxious forward momentum where you're always trying to get to the resolution, the answer, the clarity dot in, instead of being present in the actual experience of what's happening right now. But what if this feeling, exactly as it is right now, unresolved and uncertain and impossibly full, is not a problem to be solved? What if it's information to be received? What if the quality of what you feel when you think about this person is showing you something about your own capacity for depth, your own ability to recognize something real when it's in front of you, your own readiness for a kind of connection that actually matches the size of what you carry inside. What if the feeling isn't the thing to get past, but the thing to pay attention to? Does that shift something in how you're holding this? Tell me in the comments, because here's a probability I want to name clearly. When two people are in each other's orbit and the feeling is genuinely present on both sides, there is usually a moment, a threshold moment, where the dynamic either moves toward honesty or retreats into comfortable ambiguity. And the retreat into comfortable ambiguity is almost always chosen out of the same fear on both sides. The fear of being the one who said it first, the fear of being wrong about what you sensed, the fear of disrupting something that works at one level by reaching for what it could be at another. And so both people wait, both people hold back, both people perform a version of normal while underneath. Neither of them feels normal at all. Does that dynamic feel familiar? Because there is a real probability that what you're experiencing as one-sided uncertainty is actually mutual uncertainty. Two people standing on opposite sides of the same threshold, both waiting, both wondering, both telling themselves the same story about how the other person probably doesn't feel this way. Have you considered that they might be sitting somewhere right now having a version of this exact internal conversation? Sit with that. Really sit with it. And tell me in the comments if that possibility opens something in you. Now, I need to address something directly because the title says don't do it, and I've been talking about not closing the door. But I also want to be honest about the thing you might actually be tempted to do right now. The impulsive move, the message sent from a place of anxiety rather than genuine readiness, the reaching out that comes not from openness, but from the need to end the uncertainty at any cost, even if the timing isn't right, even if the energy isn't centered, even if you're moving from fear of losing something rather than genuine desire to step toward it. That is the other version of don't do it, because there's a difference between honesty that comes from a grounded, open, genuinely ready place and movement that comes from the pressure of not being able to hold the uncertainty anymore. One creates connection, the other creates a moment you have to recover from, and you deserve the first one. This connection, whatever it is, and wherever it goes, deserves the first one. So before you do anything, check where it's coming from. Is it openness or is it pressure? Is it readiness or is it the need to just resolve the tension any way possible? That distinction matters more than the action itself. Can you feel the difference between those two states in yourself right now? Drop a comment if you're sitting in that exact question. Let me bring something in now that I think is important. The word in the title, the one I've been deliberately not saying directly, soulmate. And I want to be careful here, not because the concept isn't real in some form, but because the word carries so much cultural weight, so many projections, so many expectations that it can actually get in the way of experiencing what's actually there. Because here's what I observe about connections that have that rare, specific quality. They don't feel like the movies, they feel like recognition, like something in you that was very quiet suddenly getting louder, like a familiarity that doesn't make logical sense, given the actual history between you, like the specific ease of being with someone where you don't have to translate yourself, where what you say lands the way you meant it, where your silences are comfortable rather than something to fill, where the strange, specific, um, sometimes contradictory texture of who you actually are doesn't seem to confuse them. It seems to interest them. That quality of recognition, that is what the word is pointing at. Not destiny, not inevitability, not a cosmic guarantee, just two people whose particular frequencies create something neither of them creates alone. And the probability that you are currently in the presence of that is higher than the fear is letting you believe. Does that feel true when you sit with it honestly? Tell me in the comments, because I want to leave you somewhere solid, not floating in possibility, not suspended in longing, but grounded in what is actually true right now. What is true is that you feel something real. What is true is that real feeling is information worth respecting. What is true is that the quality of what moves through you when you think about this person is not something to dismiss, minimize, or talk yourself out of. What is true is that whatever happens next, whatever form this takes, whatever it becomes or doesn't become, the fact that you are capable of feeling something this full is not a vulnerability. It is a gift, a rare and specific gift. And the right connection, the one that actually matches the depth of what you carry, will not be frightened by it, will not ask you to make it smaller, will not fumble it or use it carelessly, will recognize it the way you recognize something you've been looking for without fully knowing you were looking. So don't close. Don't retreat into the comfortable numbness of pretending it isn't there. Don't do the thing fear is asking you to do, which is to make yourself unavailable to something that might actually be real. Stay open, stay present, stay in the fullness of what you actually feel, and let whatever is already in motion have the space to become what it's becoming. You don't have to force it. You don't have to chase it. You don't have to resolve it before it's ready to be resolved. You just have to stay present, open, soft enough to feel, brave enough to let it matter. That's it. That's everything. And you are already there. I don't sell futures. I build architects. No predictions, just the raw truth for the tough ones. Stay magic. Stay in the now. Take care.